This video was produced by Hollywood Pulse using AI-generated voice technology based on real court transcripts from the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Before we begin, please be advised, viewer discretion is strongly recommended. The content presented in this video has not been exaggerated or taken out of context. These are the verbatim statements made by the prosecution, defense, and Cassie Ventura in federal court on May 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2025. Certain words have been censored to comply with YouTube's content guidelines. What you're about to hear is a voiceover reading of Part 2 of Cassie Ventura's testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs trial, as reported by courtroom journalist at Inner City Press on X.com. Please note, Sean Diddy Combs is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. This trial is ongoing. Listen at your own discretion. And make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming courtroom episodes. Thank you.
Miss Ventura, before we talk about the hotel, what is the age difference, if any, between you and Sean? 17 years. And when Sean invited you to the hotel after your 21st birthday, how did you react to that invitation? I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? Of course. You testified earlier that after your 21st birthday, Sean invited you to hang out with him at hotels in New York. Is that correct?
Yes.
How did you feel when Sean invited you to these hotels? Initially, I felt a bit nervous, and then just being a young artist, excited, of course. Like, okay, we're going to talk about music, or we're going to talk about what's next. It was a mix of emotions. That time period feels kind of hazy because it was a while ago, but mostly just nervous excitement. During those meetings in the hotel rooms, what, if anything, did you two talk about? We talked about music, upcoming projects, and the next album. We started to develop a more comfortable relationship with each other. And what else, if anything, happened during those meetings at the hotels? I remember being introduced to the idea of oral sex. It wasn't something I really understood or had done at that point. And basically, he taught me how. When you say he basically taught you how, who are you referring to?
Sean.
When you say you were introduced to oral sex, who introduced you?
Sean.
How did he introduce you to oral sex? He gave me oral sex. Did you reciprocate the oral sex? I did not. I went home, and I later heard about it from him. What do you mean when you say you heard about it from him? He just kind of made me feel crazy for not reciprocating. At the time, I just didn't understand that kind of sexual relationship. I was also still in a relationship with someone else. When you say you didn't understand that kind of sexual relationship, can you explain more about what you mean? I was just so young. I didn't even have the vocabulary for some of the things we talked about. I was trying to understand it all, just completely sexually inexperienced at that point. Around the same time, in addition to him performing oral sex on you, were there ever any occasions where you performed oral sex on Sean? Later on, yes. What was your overall reaction to those hotel room visits with Sean? I think it was that same nervous excitement I mentioned earlier. It also made me feel kind of sneaky. I didn't know what to expect. I was curious, but of course, unsure. You said you ended up there and wanted to be around him. Can you explain that more? It was just kind of like, okay, I'm here. Leaving was always confusing because I didn't really know what I felt. I don't know if I even realized whether I was making decisions for myself or not. It just felt like, here I am. I don't know how to explain that. You said you wanted to be around him. Why did you want to be around Sean? I wanted to be around Sean for the same reasons everyone else did at the time. He was exciting, entertaining, fun. I also happened to have my career in his hands. But yeah, I just wanted to spend time with him. It felt special because not a lot of people got that kind of time with him. Around that same time, did you also take a trip to meet Sean in Miami? I did. What were the circumstances of meeting Sean in Miami? I didn't have a party to host in Miami, but we wanted to spend the weekend together. So, someone created a flyer that said I was hosting a party at a club in the Miami Beach area. When you talk about hosting a party, can you explain to the jury what that means?
Sure.
As an artist, to make extra money, you're sometimes asked to host events at clubs, sometimes to perform. It would involve showing up at a club and being paid just to be there. And you mentioned a flyer. Who made that flyer? I don't know exactly who made it, but someone we knew who could design flyers did. Did you make the flyer? No, I did not. Was the flyer advertising an actual club appearance by you?
No.
Besides yourself and Sean, who else was in Miami with you? I was there with Carrie Morgan, and Dallas Austin later met us there. Who is Dallas Austin? He's a producer, musician, and a friend. Was the flyer advertising an actual club appearance by you? Besides yourself and Sean, who else was in Miami with you? Who is Dallas Austin? Carrie Morgan is the individual in the photograph we saw earlier, correct?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you and Sean do together on this trip? This trip was the first time we had sexual intercourse. He rented a boat. I was the first to get there, and we just spent time together. You testified earlier that at some point after the hotel visits, you had given Sean oral sex. Do you remember that? I remember that. Was that before Miami? Prior to having sex on that boat, what were you doing? Were you drinking alcohol? Was that before Miami? I don't think so. I think it happened there. Prior to having sex on that boat, what were you doing? Just riding on the boat. Were you drinking alcohol? Yes, wine during the day. Later that night, I started taking drugs. What drugs did you take on that trip? It was ecstasy. A blue dolphin ecstasy pill. Can you explain what you mean by a blue dolphin ecstasy pill? Ecstasy used to come as a pressed pill with a little symbol on it. These pills had dolphins on them. Who gave you the ecstasy?
Sean did.
Prior to this trip to Miami, had you ever taken ecstasy before?
No.
Had you ever taken ecstasy unintentionally before?
Yes.
What happened at that time? I was just out with friends, laughing, and didn't know what it was until a little later. When you say you unintentionally took ecstasy, how did that happen? I drank from someone else's Gatorade bottle. I didn't know it had drugs in it. This was before the Miami trip? Yes, before Miami. Prior to spending more time with Sean, what drugs, if any, did you use? I smoked marijuana and drank wine. On this Miami trip, when you took ecstasy intentionally for the first time, how did it make you feel? Totally euphoric. It's an experience people call rolling, where you're really high, your senses are heightened, especially your sense of touch. Miss Gavin, could you please pull up and publish what's in evidence as Government Exhibit B107 and B108, side by side? Ms. Ventura, starting with the photograph on the left, Exhibit B107, do you recognize who is depicted in that photo? Totally euphoric. It's an experience people call rolling, where you're really high, your senses are heightened, especially your sense of touch. Yes, that's me and Sean on the boat in Miami. And is this the boat you just described being on? Yes. And turning to the next photograph, B108, do you recognize who's depicted in that exhibit? Yes, that's Sean and me sitting down, same boat. Miss Gavin, you can take those exhibits down now. After the Miami trip, what was the status of your relationship with Sean? Yes, that's Sean and me sitting down, same boat. I would say we were just together. We spent a lot of time with each other after that. Now I know in hindsight, but I had become like one of his girlfriends after that trip. When you say you knew in hindsight, what did you know in hindsight? That Sean Combs had many girlfriends at the time. What did you know at the time? I didn't know. I can't say I was naive enough. I knew that we were spending a lot of time together one-on-one and really felt it. Yeah, like we were in a monogamous relationship for a period. After the Miami trip, was it public that you were dating Sean? No, not for many years after that. Why was it not public for many years? It was always just a discussion of me being his artist and not wanting it to look bad. But I also know it was because of his family and his children and other things, personal things for him. What are those other personal things, if you know?
His family.
Yeah, it was always something I understood. Around the same time, who, if anyone, was publicly linked to Sean romantically? I believe it was Kim, but I think she had also just moved away around that time. When you say Kim, are you referring to Kim Porter?
Yes.
After you started dating Sean, what changes, if any, did you eventually make in your career management? Well, my management at the time was also managing the other producer boyfriend that I was with, and just looked at this as a major conflict of interest at that point. And yeah, I basically just trusted that we were going to find new people. When you say you trusted that we were going to find new people, who is the we in that sentence?
Sean and I.
Just to be clear, did you break ties with your old management after you started dating Sean? I did. After Miami, how did your relationship with Sean evolve? After Miami, we really at least for my own side of things, I really fell in love with him. I traveled with him anywhere. I was in the studio. I was just like a little shadow for a little while. You were a shadow to whom?
To Sean.
How did Sean treat you at this time? We had fun. It was just kind of like, it's my first real adult relationship, at least what I thought it was. And it was different, so different than anything. As you can imagine, his lifestyle was so much different than mine. How long did you feel this way about your relationship that you described being? Strike that. You said that Sean's lifestyle was different. Can you explain what you mean by that? Miss Gavin, could you please pull up and publish Government Exhibit B12? Miss Ventura, do you recognize who's depicted in Government Exhibit B12? What's the occasion when this photograph was taken, if you remember? He had assistants at his beck and call. He could get anything done quickly. He had respect from everyone. He traveled quite a bit, so yeah, moving around a lot. Miss Gavin, could you please pull up and publish Government Exhibit B12? Miss Ventura, do you recognize who's depicted in Government Exhibit B12? Yeah, that's me and Sean. What's the occasion when this photograph was taken, if you remember? This was at a strip club in New York. I'm not sure which one, but it was on Halloween. And what year? I would say this is probably 2007 or 87. And what year? And Halloween 2007? Is that shortly after your Miami trip? That's Sean and myself. Miss Gavin, can you pull up Government Exhibit B106 and B109, both in evidence, side by side, please? Miss Ventura, starting with the photograph on the left, B106, who's depicted in B106? That's Sean and myself. And where are you? We're in the back of his car, probably driving to the Hamptons or something. Approximately what time period is this photograph from? This is in the first year of us dating, like within that first few months. And turning to the photograph on the right, B109, again, who is depicted in that photograph? Sean and myself in the back of the car. Is that the same car?
Yes.
And what's the approximate time period that this photograph was taken? It was around the same time. Miss Ventura, how did you feel about Sean in the beginning of your relationship? I think I was just enamored by him. We were just having a good time. It was really fun. At this point, how long did you feel that way about Sean? I don't know exactly how long. It was off and on for many years. How, if at all, did your relationship change over time? I don't know exactly how long. It was off and on for many years. Over time you just get more comfortable with somebody, obviously, but I began to just experience a different side of him, which was his abusive side, and his side that was just very controlling over my life and the things that I wanted to do. But there was still love there. Miss Gavin, you can take these exhibits down. Miss Ventura, you mentioned a side of Sean that wanted control over your life. Can you explain to me what you mean by that? Being an artist at that time, everything moved really quickly for me, and there was just no way of keeping up with what was happening. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? Sure. You had mentioned that one thing that changed about your relationship over time was Sean wanting to have control over your life. I just wanted to ask you what you meant when you said control over your life. He wanted to control everything from the way that I looked to what I was working on that day, who I was speaking to. Control was kind of like an all-around thing to a certain point.
Thanks for watching. This story is developing fast and the details are getting darker day by the day. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next bombshell. I'm tracking every twist in the Diddy trial and what's coming could change everything. Stay alert, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next part.